You know, back in the old days, there was this program called Layaway where you can go into like a store and start making payments on something, some high dollar ticket item. And once you paid that off every month, it was yours. You could take it home. That's how I bought my first deer rifle from the Marine Corps PX on Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. And it was the first, weapon that I bought that I purchased myself. It wasn't a hand-me-down. It wasn't my dad's. It wasn't anything like that. So I went and I picked out this 30-06, and I just didn't have a lot of money. And so I did the layaway program, but I needed a scope on it. And the cheaper scopes were all sold out. And so I bumped up to like this entry-level loophole scope and put that on the layaway program and had them all, put the whole package together for me and all that. Made the payments and finally got to bring it home. Ever since then, almost every rifle I've owned has had a loophole scope. In fact, I'm having a custom rifle built this year, and it's going to have the loophole Mark 5 HD scope on it. I just killed a buffalo with that scope. It's a really great product. And loophole guys, you know them. Everybody knows loophole. They've been around since like 1907. They started as like a special instrument company or something like that. But these American-made products are fantastic. Whether you're looking for a spotter, binos, a rifle scope, accessories, tripods, bipods, all that kind of stuff. You can find it all at loophole.com. And I'd really appreciate if you supported this American company that has a great American story. And I couldn't be a bigger fan of a company. And I'm so happy and thrilled that they've chosen to partner with the Western Huntsman. Thanks to Leupold, and thanks to you guys for supporting our great sponsors. Experience the evolution of accuracy with the new Browning X-Bolt 2. Guys, this rifle is something else. With the introduction of the X-Bolt, Browning has set a new standard in the development of bolt-action rifles. It was created around the goal of total accuracy, where every component worked in unison to improve downrange performance straight out of the box, from windswept tundras to rocky peaks high above the tree line to African plains and everywhere in between. The X-Bolt delivered the tack-driving accuracy a Browning rifle is respected for. And that's super true, guys. I really like this rifle from a standpoint of, like, it's not super heavy, it's not super light. I put a really nice scope on it. I love that Veritech stock because that is like one of those pieces of accuracy that, that interface between the rifle and the shooter. Not everybody's the same size. The DLX trigger, you can get the plus magazine system for extra rounds. Great all-around rifle in the field. For those of you that are looking for a rifle this year to take to the field that you can feel real confident in and get really comfortable with, this is the rifle to check out. The Browning X-Bolt 2 should be one of your top contenders. Link is in the show notes. There exists a threat, from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, your host, coming at you from the Broken Town studio right here in Northwest Montana, and brought to you by Eastman's Hunting. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the continued support, if you will, and bearing with me through. This is, I think, the first episode I'm recording with hunting season being, mostly done. We still obviously have our lion seasons. There's a late muzzleloader too I'm looking at, but anyway, for the most part, the chaos of fall 2025 is kind of coming to an end, and it's like that lonely time when everybody's all excited about Christmas, and I'm just more upset because hunting season's over with. Yeah. So, but I got a good one for you guys. He's always a fan favorite on this show. He's one of the most whenever he comes on the show, it's always one of the higher downloaded episodes, and I always really enjoy having him. My good buddy from Stuck in the Rut, Tom Schneider.
I appreciate you joining me, brother man.
Hey, thank you for having me, and that's good news. I'm glad people like listening to me. So,
I think they do, man. You always have, well, you have that automatic credibility factor because you just are really effective in the field. But we always talk about really exciting things like managing wolves and hunting mule deer and all the things that most of us just really like and enjoy, you know. And so you had a really good season too, man.
oh yeah, it's been really good. And
Yeah.
for the things that I had going on, I'd say I was very fortunate because it was I think it was August, and I realized how much more work I had to do this year. And I was like, I knew I was going to have to work a little bit during the hunt season. I'm like, am I even going to have a hunting season? Like that crossed my mind in August, and then now I'm looking at December, and I'm like, for all that I had going on, it was a pretty dang good hunting season. When I hunted, I used my time wisely and I got it done. And so I was like, that's always a good relief when all that works out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so very fortunate. And like you said, I'm actually really sad that it's over. Although I am on the 50-50 scale because I do have that Montana elk tag. And so I'm like, should I pursue elk with a muzzle loader? Should I not?
You should, man.
I have a freezer full of elk meat right now, but I do, I was like, I felt satisfied. I felt content with my elk. And I'm like, great bull. I don't need another elk. Yeah. And then I've had like 4 or 5 families reach out to me and they're like, hey, if you want to, like, we really need elk meat. We really need elk meat. And I'm like, should I fill another elk tag?
You could just come over, man. Come over because we live so close to each other. Just come over. We'll go together. Let's go knock a couple over. You know what's funny? I bought this muzzle loader a few years ago. I've never even shot it.
Oh, so you have one that fits the Montana specs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've never even fired it. So
you know how to use it? Because I need training.
I kind of do, man. I got this little buddy called YouTube. I'll figure it out. I've hunted with like a genuinely old, I had this Springfield 42 Civil War musket, and that's what I killed a wild boar with many years ago. And so I have a lot of experience with muzzle loaders, but not this particular one. And so I'm assuming it's pretty straightforward. It's a percussion cap, put the powder down, stack that round in there, whatever. I don't know. Somebody listening to this is like a muzzle loading expert, and they're like, "Oh man, you idiot! What are you thinking?" But it can't be that hard. It can't be that hard. We'll figure it out.
My only experience with muzzleloaders was a little more. I'd say it was a little more of a. It was New Mexico, so the restrictions were not as bad, but you still had to deal with the old powder and I shot that bull, and and with the rifle you're always used to taking another shot on an elk. So here I am, there's this elk trotting off, and I am in a panic, and I'm trying to get I got one bullet in the elk as it is, or a slug, whatever you call those things, and I'm sitting there, and the problem was it had a muzzle brake on the end. So I go to dump powder, and 50% of the powder is coming out of the size of the muzzle brake. And I'm just like, it was just, I was trying to get it. And then I shot I think I shot a second time at it, but it was like long,
way out there.
Yeah, way out there. And I don't even think half the powder was even there to push the slug out. For all I know, it went like a couple feet in the air and landed on the ground. It's, oh my God, man, the joys of muzzle loaders. But yeah, so like these ones, I've asked a couple friends who kind of get into it, and I'm like, hey, tell me what it's like. And he's like, this is what it's like. You aim, you pull a trigger, and you hope it goes off. It's 50-50. You can have a nice big bull in front of you, and you pull that trigger, and you hope it goes. It just might be a click and nothing happens. He says it's a 50-50 chance.
Or just the percussion cap goes off and nothing else happens. And all you do is you scare the elk away. That's why I like the Civil War musket, man, because I had a bayonet for it. So if I misfired, I'd fix bayonets and charge at it and get them that way. You believe me, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how fast I run. No,
really nice. Or just do 2. Yeah, just have 2 muzzle loaders. So you just just two,
Yeah.
one in the pack and one in your hand. Shoot one, grab the other one really quick, so you're not have to. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't even know the best route to go with this, but your range can't be too much, right? I mean, my brother has the Idaho. I mean, it's still kind of just like the old school, but it still doesn't meet Montana specs. Montana specs and
Yeah.
Idaho specs are a little bit different, and his is the same thing where it's like, it's 50-50 if
Yep.
it goes off or not.
Yeah.
I swear, I feel like we're always tracking a muzzleloader elk. Like one of my friends, oh, I shot a muzzleloader elk, can't find it. And I'm like, oh, great.
Man, I got this, but there's this old timer at church that I was talking to, and he's like, that's how he kills elk every year. He goes out and just knocks one over with a muzzle loader, and he's got some really good bowls. In fact, he gave me some of the caps that I needed, because there was a long time you couldn't get those percussion caps. And that's actually one of the reasons why I bought this muzzle loader, and I never fired it, because I couldn't find those number 11 percussion caps for it. And he gave me a few of them and whatever. And so, but yeah, he's super effective at it. And he gets one every year during this muzzle loader season, but I think he's doing it right. What's that?
Yeah, maybe I need to do it. I was like, maybe I need to do it. Maybe I need to get into it a little bit. Like, hey, it doesn't open till the 12th, right?
12th, I believe the 12th. Yeah, here in Montana.
I got a little time to think about it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, man. I might go pull this muzzle loader out, and I don't know, see what I can come up with. I've got everything I need, and I even have some good spots, but it's just kind of, I think my wife's a little burned out with how much time I've been gone this year. And I've been hunting pretty steady since September 7th. And so it's time to maybe hang out here at home. But a couple days muzzle loading, that won't kill anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So I want to talk. Well, I feel like it's like anytime we get on a show, man, we're kind of all over the place, and it's always fun because we could keep these things going for like 3 hours straight. And, I'm not opposed to that, but both of us have day jobs. And so I'll try to keep it to about an hour. Give us like I don't know, what's the right word, synopsis or summary of this recent season you had, because I've been trying to, when I come out of the wilderness here and get back into phone service, I've been trying to jump on the old Instagram there. And I've always got like an update from you going on, like, oh, big buck down, big bull down, all this stuff always going on. And so it just seemed like every time I came out of the field, I was seeing you packing something else off the mountain. And I'm curious, like, tell us how your season went and how it kind of unfolded for you.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. September was my biggest focus, and I had Idaho and Montana season both, and so I had a lot of fun with chasing elk on, both sides of the line. And sometimes I traveled in camp and stuff too, and there was a combination between hunting my old stomping grounds and places that, where I wanted to explore. But I'd say probably the best way to explain this is there was one particular area. It was so in Idaho, it's a late December archery hunt. And so it was 2024, winter 2024. I was chasing muleys around with a bow and arrow in the late December hunt. And I came across a really nice bull elk, a nice, beautiful 6x6. And I was just like, and when I remember when I saw that bull, and I saw him a couple days. So I saw him like 2 days in a row. And I still had an elk tag in my pocket too then. And so I was like, so last year in 2024, I moose hunted, so I completely missed the elk season. And so when that December hunt came in, I'm like, well, I still have an elk tag in my pocket. So I tried to spot and stalk a post rut bull in crunchy snow. The snow conditions were just horrible. It was just crunchy. Yeah. You can hear me coming from a mile away. So, but I was just like, well, that's good to know he's here, because that was one of these areas that I know really well, and I know the routes those elk take. And I'm like, I want to kill that bull. And I also, so in the spring bear season, and I have a lot of different places I hunt. I came across that same bull again. I believe it was him during spring bear. I was in there and I saw a bull elk half grown, and I saw the fronts, I saw the beams in the direction the beams were heading, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that is the same bull that I saw in the winter, just the way he's
Uh-huh.
growing. You just, in this heavy, thick timber country with lots of wolves, you don't get 3 to 4 big bulls in an area. It's like the big bull here, and then several miles, and then there you get a big bull there. You know what I mean? So it's like the odds of a bull having that same frame in the same area is not common.
Sure.
We don't have a lot of elk numbers. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, hunting season came. I chased elk. I had a fun time, by the way, bugling elk. I felt fortunate to say I did the entire season. I bugled in 7 bull elk, and to
Very
where I
nice.
could kill them, I could have killed them. Right.
Yeah.
I started getting about halfway through season. I was starting to question my decisions, where I'm like, I need to stop passing up elk and start killing, because I say this, I have three tags not to kill 3 elk. I have 3 elk tags to buy me time. And so in Idaho, I was able to, being a resident, I don't like the system, but I'm going to take advantage while I can. I
Sure.
bought 2 elk tags in Idaho, one for the archery season and one for the rifle season. So that gave me a lot of time in Idaho to hunt. And then obviously I had the Montana tag. So what that did is it just bought me a lot of elk time to find a big bull.
Yeah.
And really, I would rather kill 1 big bull than 3 average bulls, or 3
Yeah.
younger bulls. Like, my goal is I just want 1 big bull for the year and I'm happy. And so I had the fun bouncing back and forth, and it was funny. So I'm finally decided, okay, like, I need to start. This is the time of year where this spot actually starts getting really good, where I saw that bull, the one I wanted to kill. And, it's still a needle in the haystacks. Like, what are the odds of finding a bull that I saw in the winter, in his summering or in his fall grounds where he ruts. And I spent a lot of time in there for about 2 days, and I got in the rut fest of all rut fests, and my release was broken.
Oh
And
no.
I was so mad at myself. I didn't have a second. I posted it online, and everybody messaged me and they're like, "You gotta always have a second release." And I'm like, "Well, now I know." I never ever thought I would have. I never encountered that. I never encountered a release fail, on my bow.
Yeah,
And
man. What a
so
bull.
I
So
was,
you were up there and then got into the rut fest and then realized your release was broken. And
yeah.
oh
So
man, what a bummer.
yeah, and so, so it's like miles and miles and miles without a single elk track, and then you get right in the dead center of. I could see right above tree line. I see three bulls. One I would probably shoot. He was just like he was a nicer, younger 6.
Yeah.
But I'm like, let's see what else is in here, before I pursue this, because he was just like head end of the canyon. And and then I got another bull to bugle, and I was actually pursuing this bull, and he was screaming, he was hot, and I could already tell he's a runner. He was moving, and
Mhm.
but I was like, as I was moving, and my release was on my wrist, I started flicking around the contraption, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
trigger, like, what is going on here? Something's wrong. So I stopped mid chase, because I'm like, I'm going to be chasing this because I'm going down in a hole, and I'm like, if I'm going to go down in a hole, I better have a working release. And I started taking that release apart, and it was shot. It's done. Like,
Was it like the mechanism had come apart or something,
it
or
just
or like
wasn't
what
holding
happened?
back. So it
Really?
wasn't holding back. So, and everything, and if I took it apart, everything seemed right. But I don't know if I think it's just wear and tear. I think it's just shooting
Yeah.
over time. And I click it completely where it's supposed to be locked. You go to pull back your bow, and it just open up.
Yeah. I had
So
one do that a couple years ago, and I think it's what you said, man. It's a sign that you actually put into practice because you wore that release out. And I'll bet you there's a lot of people listening, and I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad, but I bet you there's a lot of people listening that have never worn a release out, and because they're not practicing enough.
Well, yeah. Well, and typically I feel like I buy a new release before I even wear one out. So I've never worn one out before, you know? And yeah, I mean, so, I mean, maybe I need to practice more. but, um, but anyways, I mean, it was kind of a bummer deal. I'm just like, gosh dang it. So and at that time where I stood, I had a broken release. You know how hard it was for me to go 8 I was 8 miles from my pickup. And I'm like, I want to hunt tomorrow. And I'm 8 miles back right now as I speak. If I run to my pickup, the nearest store is probably, well, I mean, I'm way up in the mountains, right? So I got to drive an hour and a half to maybe even 2 hours to get to the nearest store to buy some hunting releases.
Sure.
I'm like, I'm going to be pretty late in the day. And so I just hoofed it and I took a shortcut, which honestly benefited me. And I'll tell you why. I took a shortcut to get back to my vehicle. And I'm like, I know this is going to be a sucky hike, but it's the quickest way. I'm going to have to brush pound, walk through, blow down. And I was probably about a mile. I probably, so it was 8 miles as I looked on Onyx. And
Yeah.
then I headed that way and I was about a mile away and I cut another pocket of elk and with a big bull track and tons of rubs. And I'm like, I'm not even pulling the bugle to even try because, oh, why would I?
Yeah.
But I was like, but I'm going to hit that spot, right? Anyways, I get the pickup, head to the nearest store as possible. I got there in time, thank goodness. Like it was literally like 15 minutes before they closed.
Oh,
I bought two releases. And I bought a Scott's and then what is it called? A Stan release or
I'm not sure. I know the Scots really well.
Yeah. So I bought a Scott's because it's a cheaper one. And I was like, I'll use that for the backup.
Mm-hmm.
And so the other one, if I won't get too detailed on I can waste a lot of time just talking about the releases that they are. But anyways, I got two releases. The next day was a torrential downpour. And I'm like,
wait, Tom, I got to ask a couple questions here. Did you leave like your, I'm assuming if you went that far back, were you planning to stay the night back there or were you coming out every night?
I was going to come out, but it was going to be a long day.
Yeah.
And some people ask like, oh, what if you kill something back there? It's like, I make the plan after I kill.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, man. I don't know. And sometimes it bites me, but I just assume maybe you were able to kind of drop your pack and your gear and hoof it out of there real quick so you can get back into there. But you took everything out, huh?
Yeah. So the problem is it would be that spot. So that's pushing the limits of like, that's the point where you should be camping. I should literally be camping back there. I hate when you camp, you're married to the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so without knowing that even that pocket of elk were back there, like I would have hated if I brought in my pack, my camp, because it is a spot I would camp. If I packed in my camp, it would have saved me a lot of miles. And I know the exact perfect spot to camp. It would literally save me 4 miles in, and it kind of puts you in the middle of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is if the elk were not there, the wolves are in there, pushed everything out, then it's like, well, shoot, I spent all this time to get my camp back there, and there's not even elk back here. Now I got to move my camp out. And you can waste a whole day just moving a camp in and out,
Yeah, absolutely.
If more, a couple days, you can waste a couple days moving a camp in. And so, I like to stay mobile until I'm getting in some really good action. I mean, in that scenario, it would have, it's like, okay, well now I got these elk. Perhaps it is a good idea to move a camp in, but I didn't get quite to that point yet. With what I saw, I still wanted to spend one more day and be mobile. Like I wanted to hike around that area. And if I'm just in like massive amounts of action, then yeah, I'll move a camp in. But anyways, but it's a long ways. But anyways, so that rainy day, I'm like, you know what? I need a rest from that long leg day anyways, and so because the following day it was downpour. And I knew for a fact if I'm going that far back, I'm going to be drenched to the bone. I don't care how good my rain gear is.
Yeah, man. There is just that point, huh? That it like doesn't matter. You're just going to be wet.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it said it was going to do this for a week, I would do it. But I'm like literally the next day it's going to clear up, and what better time to go back in there right after a huge rainstorm like that? I mean, that just gets everything moving, right? So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, so it was the following day after the big rainstorm, I decided to go back in there, and I'm like, I'm going to hunt this differently now. Instead of hiking in the way I did, I'm going to go the shortcut way. I know I'm pushing brush, but I'm saying is like when I remember when I came off the ridge there
Mm-hmm.
and I saw that big bull and cow, really big bull track and cow tracks. I was like, at least I can start my hunt there. And
Yeah.
then if I don't get any action, then I move up to where I got into that hub of elk. And I was working my way up the ridge, and no joke, it was in the dark. I was still in headlamp, and I hear a bull beagling, and I'm like, well, I know I have a destination to go to for the day, but I'm not gonna walk past a bugling elk. I'm gonna wait till the sun rises. And so I sat there in the dark, made sure my wind is my favor. And then when the sun rose, I just snuck in. I didn't even bugle. I'm like, because I can already tell just by the sound of his bugle, he was specifically bugling at his cows and that they were on the move. I can tell just by the sound of his bugle that his cows are moving and he's just following them. But he has
Mm-hmm.
no clue I'm there. I haven't even pulled my bugle out for the morning yet. And and so I just moved in on him, and in my brain, I'm like, this is that big bull that's lead that I mean, in my head, I'm like, there's only one big bull track, bunch of cow tracks, huge rubs in there. I'm like, that's gotta be him. Has to be. And I got in there fairly close, I'd say. And and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I can hear cows chirping at this point. I think it's time to start the process and you know, showing, hey, I'm in the area, and so I bugled back at him. I threw a very brief bugle and I started to rake, and then and you watch the video, so it's all on YouTube. I get closer and I just like start looking for good shooting lanes, and that's been a little bit more of a big focus of mine this year is focusing on shooting lanes. You can't in this brushy country, nothing's perfect, but
Yeah.
if you can really mess yourself up too and um calling in an elk in a brush area. And I did that previously. I think the only other bull I called in that I'd shoot, but I messed up on is I called them in just a nasty brush patch. And I'm like, I can't shoot that bull. He
Yeah.
came in really close, like 10 yards, nothing but a wall of brush.
Yeah. That
It
happened
was
to me and my daughter. That now
really,
this hunt you're talking about, you're on the Idaho side, right?
yeah. So I'm hunting Idaho on this one. So this is an Idaho. I decided to hunt Idaho for a bit again. And so, yeah, so anyways, I just did my calling sequence and I had a perfect shooting lane. It's the way to explain it. And you probably know how the terrain is like, where you start getting above that brush elevation, you start getting into bear grass, you get in some of the combination of alpine and spruce. And I'm starting to get in that higher elevation, but I had some great shooting lanes and I started raking and I didn't hear a peep from that bull, except I heard him raking back, which signified he's coming to fight. And I'm like, sweet, he's copying me. I'm
Right
raking, he's raking. It's going to happen. And it was pretty quick. I mean,
on.
everything obviously in my head seemed like it took an hour. I mean, it was within minutes. Here he comes. I see the big rack. I see him waving through the trees. I told myself, I'm like, this is, what is it, September 15th at that time? I'm like, through the whole 15 days of me hunting, that's the biggest bull I've seen the whole time. And then as he walks in, it just passed through my head really quick. That's the same bull that I saw in the winter. I'm like, that's him. And so I'm like, don't think about it. Just kill him. Don't think about it. He's just a regular elk. He's just like another elk you called it. Like you start playing this game in your head, just don't psych yourself out. Don't psych yourself out. It's just
Yep.
another elk. Just kill it. Just don't look at the rack. Just kill it. And so I just pulled back and everything just went really smooth, pulled back. He came in a little, quartering toward, which is not the most ideal choice, but
Mm-hmm.
it was not enough of a quarter to where I felt like I'd have to put the arrow in front of the shoulder. I'm like, he's still like broadside enough, put it behind the shoulder, so he stopped really quick. I'm making it sound long, but everything happened really fast. He stopped, I let the arrow fly, and I watched my arrow just sink. And it was just one of those feelings like you never like with archery, you see the elk run off, you see the brush all wiggle, and you're like, did I kill him or did I not? And then you start playing more games with your head. I'm like, when I watched that bull run off, it was such a good feeling. I'm like, that's a dead bull. Like where I saw my arrow sink, I saw him run. I'm like, he's dead. That is a dead elk. And it was such a good feeling. And thank goodness I had well, in the higher elevation too, you tend to have better service than down in the holes. And so I was actually able to immediately reach out to family and say, hey, if you guys can, I know you're all busy, but if I can use some help packing this elk out. And I'm like, I haven't found him yet, and I'll let you know if I do, but just be ready because I am pretty sure he's dead.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure it's that bull that I saw in the winter, in the wintering ground.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. So yeah, and I found him pretty fast. I didn't even have to track the blood trail. I just heard where he coughed last, and I just walked straight line, and I see him hooves
just
up,
piled up.
Yeah, I was like, sweet. So it was pretty cool. And
that's
I'm
this
getting
bull.
right now.
Because I'm on your Instagram here on my second screen, where you posted and you've got your bow leaned up against, and you posted something like, oh, it's right here. I got accused multiple times on Facebook for stepping too far back to make the bull look bigger. Is this better? LOL. Is that bull?
Yeah, that's him.
He is just such a great freaking bull, man. Well, and people were giving you a hard time acting like you did the whole thing where you sit way back.
I know people are just haters, but sometimes I and this is the Instagrammer in me, where it creates a little bit of what do you call it? It's like when you stir up the ant's nest, and you get more activity. that's what I've learned with Instagram. It's just like So I kind of did that because I truly was getting that, but I'm like, to me, it really didn't bother me. Like I could have cared less, but for me, I like to throw it back at them in their face. As I know, like I like to stir the pot a little bit. I like to stir up the ant's nest. And like, what do you guys have to say now? Like, am I standing too far back? And but I mean, looking at that photo, it doesn't change his size. He's still a big 6 point.
I see the picture that you're talking. I scrolled down a little further, and I see the picture that somebody may have been talking about. But because you were self-filming too, like in your defense, I know what you're doing there. You're setting that little timer, and you have to run around and set yourself up. And like, I don't know, dude, it doesn't matter what you do. Somebody's going to find a problem with it on the socials.
This is what I've always said. Everybody's happy for you when you kill something average or small. Like if I killed a rag bull, if I killed a spike, everybody said congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you hit this certain size level, oh, you shot it in a high fence. Oh, oh, you're standing so far back. Oh, you probably paid an outfitter for it. Oh, you probably shot it on private lands. Oh, and it's just like then and you just can't. You're just like, whatever. These guys are just douchebags. Like, just watch the video. You'll see the struggle. You'll see that I was not just the fact I wasn't with the guide that I pretty much I hunted the whole archery season solo. Like I was by myself. And
like you would make a good guide. So I know you don't need a guide. Like you would make a good guide. And like it just, it's one of those things, man. I don't know. I get it to an extent because there are some people out there that, they get on the old Instagram there and they're posting pictures like they're these backcountry badasses or whatever. And really they are on a private ranch somewhere and they're just leaving that part out. And that does happen. And I think it actually happens quite a bit more than what people think, being on that side of the industry or whatever. But this is why your episodes always do so well on my show, is because most of us know you. We've watched your videos. We know that you are actually doing this DIY public land in some really varsity level hunting country. You know, that if you look at these pictures on your Instagram, like it doesn't even do justice for how steep, thick, and brushy I know that mountain is, because we hunt the same stuff, man, and like it's not easy country. It's just not easy country, and so
just to let you know, there's mountain goats. You know, where I killed that elk, if I was just any higher, I'd be in mountain goats. So it's like that's it. It's as steep as
way up there.
Yeah, it's steep country, and but here's the thing I tell people too about like I don't do the private land thing myself, but I don't hate on it either, because I'm like, you know why I do DIY public land? Because I'm broke.
Yeah, I know exactly, man.
I'm like,
I have the opportunity as a guide. I get to go guide hunters on some of these private tracks here in Montana, and they are fun. You learn a lot, man. And I wish I could hunt those, because there are some not only great elk, but there's some. That's where I'm seeing some of the biggest whitetail bucks are on some of these private tracks we have access to. You know, and because they don't get messed with. And it is easier hunting. Like don't make any mistake about it. There is a big difference between hunting private land and having the access to that versus going out to where I'm looking at you on this mountain killing that. What did you score him just for like the sake of reference? He looks to be 330-ish. I don't know.
Yeah, so when I walked up to him, I thought he was going to be 330. He's got some weak spots on him, and so no, he's about the 320 mark. You know.
Okay, that's a great bull.
Yeah,
that is a great public land, do it yourself, big timber backcountry bull. It doesn't get much better than that. Than that 320, 330 mark. You know, that's a great bull.
Yeah, I got still. Well, one tooth. I pulled two teeth. I don't know. I mean, obviously, anyone who's just listening can't really see the tooth, but this is his tooth. It's pretty worn, but he. I don't know if you're able to see that.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, look at that thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I sent one of the teeth already to Matson Labs, so I'm going to get him aged. But what's fun too is I thought I was the only guy that knew about that bull, and I wasn't. So there was a guy. So after I killed that bull, that's where things kind of get fun. There's pros and cons to it. I don't like it that other people know where I killed the elk, but it's still cool that other people had history with him too. And so I had one guy who's like, hey, I have sheds to that bull. And,
oh, really?
And I'm like, and then so he asked me the location, and where he pointed the location was exactly where I saw that bull in his wintering range. I'm like, yeah, that's him. And then another guy's like, I got trail cam photos all over that bull in the mountains. And I'm like, and I'm not the one that says, okay, it was here. I asked them, I'm like, okay, if you want to know if it's the same elk, you have to tell me where the spot is, and I'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. Person told me where he's been chasing that bull for 3 years, another individual.
Wow.
And so he had more history of that bull than I did. And when he pointed out the location, it was like literally the same drainage. I'm like, yeah, it's the same bull.
I love that, man. I think that's cool. That's awesome.
But you could tell, well, he sent me photos. I'm like, can you please send me photos? I want to see, for me, I'm like, I want to see his progression and growth and stuff. Dude, that bull wasn't going to grow an inch. He's pretty much flatlined for a couple years now. Like since like 2023, 2024, that bull looks almost exactly the same, if not maybe even shrunk a little. But he's got more mass than anything. But like I said, it's just like when I first walked up to him, I thought 330, like all day. But then I started, start throwing the tape on him. You're like, oh, that point's weak, but maybe it'll make up here. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm actually, about 10 inches off than what I thought he was going to be,
Sure.
But I'm not,
I'm not
going to fret. I'm not going to fret. I'll archery a 280 bull,
Oh man. That's the thing. Well, and to your point where you were like, you've got the history and the pictures and the trail cam stuff and the sheds and all that. It goes back to what I was saying. I don't think you're going to get much better on that bull. Like that is the top. That is the top line. You every once in a while might find some crazy 350 or north of that or whatever, but I mean, shoot, dude, where you're at, that 320 is just, I've never killed a bull that big. I'd love to kill a bull like that. Never.
Yeah,
I'm happy with a raghorn.
yeah.
So
That's about what they, yeah, because the bull I rifled 2 years ago, and that was an old bull. I could tell it was an old bull. He busted points. I think he was probably about the same rate. Oh, I thought he was going to actually be a 330 bull when I saw him, like 330 plus. He busted a lot of points though. So, but he with his busted points, he was 315.
yeah.
That bull was 8 years old, and so it's like that is the standard in this country, in this terrain. Now, if you go to like Arizona or even Wyoming, like where Trevor drew a really good Wyoming tag, he killed a
Yeah.
really big bull there. I mean, that was a young bull. When he stuck that bull, I'm like, that's a young bull. Like it almost reminded me of like a 4 to 5 year old bull, and it was a 340 bull. And genetically, elk are different down there, and they grow. The racks grow bigger. They get the beams. I think the biggest thing that people don't realize is beam length is such a big thing with score. And so some of these bulls, these timber country bulls, they have short beams. They'll get good points, and so people throw these crazy numbers out. When I was like, one guy's like, "Is that bull 360?" I'm like, well, I was like, no. For one, that you're overjudging it, but for two, some of these guys, when they look at you get like even Central Montana, those elk, the beams, 50 plus inches long, right? Like,
Well, and I think to that point too, Tom, is a couple episodes ago I had Dirk on from Phelps, and he was telling me that where they were hunting moose in the Yukon, they don't get those big 50-inch moose because the timber's so tight and thick that it's like the animals adapt. And I kind of think that there's something to that for this Northwest Montana, North Idaho type real thick forest like this. That bull that I'm looking at, your 320, that thing gets any wider, how the heck's it going to move through that brush? How is it going to move through that country?
Well, when I watched him come in, he did this because there was a blowdown. There was already a blowdown about head high for me. And when I watched him come in, I watched him do. He was the whole time he was coming in. It wasn't like, I mean, before you saw him come out and I stuck him with the arrow, the whole time I watched him, he was maneuvering his rack the entire time.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make him look any smaller either. When he's doing that, he looks really big because he's sitting there. He's walking like this. He's tucking his tines under the blowdown, and then he's going between two trees, and then but he knows where every inch of antler is. Like he knows.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and so he won't, like, he'll barely. I mean, he'll may break up one stick or two. Usually, you hear if you bust them and they take off running, you hear the rack hit trees and stuff. But when they're actually walking in like that, they know where every inch is. And so, but the whole time I watched him coming in, like I said, he was just maneuvering his rack back and forth. And so, like I said, sometimes you get freaks in natures though too. I mean, there was a bull that I knew of that got killed this year, well, recently actually, and he was a 350 bull in Montana, and it was a bull that I actually knew of. I knew he existed, and he was a wide bull, and I'm like,
really,
in the thick timber country, and it's like, and I'm like, dude, I just don't understand how that bull gets around.
I know, it blows my mind, man. But this one spot I was guiding in, there was this, like, from a distance, he looked like this big monster 6-point, and he was a 6-point, but he was super narrow. And the only thing I could think of is where he was. It was so thick. We never got this bull. He kept giving us a slip, but it was so thick in there, man. And it's just there's gotta be something to that, because even like, we're supposed to be talking more a little bit about mule deer. I always get hung up on elk though. But like the mule deer here, the way their height, the antler height and everything is just super different than those big prairie bucks I was hunting down in Wyoming. They just get wider and taller down there. And we just don't see bucks like that here, even though we have some old, mature age class animals. If you're willing to get to them, like your buck, where did I just see? I saw your buck here. I'm like stalking you on Instagram here, going up and down this thing. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this guy, man. I mean, I can't show it on the screen, but you guys got go to Stuck in the Rut. What is your
looking at the Idaho or the Montana buck? Which one are you looking
big
at? The one in the
Idaho
snow?
buck down? Yeah, snow.
Yeah. So that's my
Oh,
Idaho
he's got a
one.
busted tine too.
Yeah, I know. I was mad about that.
Where's
Like, what
that
the heck?
Montana? Where's your Montana buck? I can't.
Screw that. It was before the snow hit. He's got an inline.
Oh, I see him. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Look at that guy, man. See, that's just, I don't know. You just don't get, like, I would be so happy with that buck. Now I just lost it again. Dang it, my internet's all jacked up. What is going on?
No, you're good. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, no, you're right, because similar. I see it too. I noticed it big with Colorado. Like genetically, I'll hunt Colorado, and I'm like, why do I hunt anywhere else for mule deer? Because genetically, those deer they just grow. And our heavy timber bucks, it's hard to talk to people that live in the prairie or in the sagebrush, because that's the first thing they ask is, how wide is it? And I'm like, you really can't go based on spread, like, because our deer just don't have spread. Like, that's not what I look at when I see a deer anymore. It's not how wide is it. I mean, although I'm pretty good at judging muleys on spread, like because you kind of go based on ears. Typically they between 22 to 24 inches wide if you measure tip to tip on a mule deer's ears. Then you just kind of add the rest on the rack, and you can kind of get a good idea on how big it is. Typically in our country, if it's past the ears just a little bit, it's probably a good buck. But I'm specifically, if I see a buck and I want to see if I want to shoot it, I'm not looking at the spread, I'm looking at the rack itself. Because I've killed high 180 bucks in this country that are 24 inches wide. And it's like, who's going to pass up a high 180s buck?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's not wide enough. Yeah, like the spread is not even actually, and when you think about, and for me, I do want to kill a 30-inch. I've come close to breaking that 30-inch mark. I haven't broke it. There's always something wrong.
Neither. Yep.
There's always something wrong. My little brother Trevor killed a dandy in this country. It doesn't even look like it's meant to be around here. And he shot one that I was pretty convinced was going to break the 30 mark. He was, I think, a quarter inch away.
Oh, dang. That is super close.
I know. I'm like, it's still worth getting mounted, and it's deep forks. He's got everything you want to. I mean, when he videoed it, when you see that thing on the hoof, you're like, dude, that thing looks like a mega. But I guess going back though, these deer they just don't grow that width, and it's not part of the rack. It's just how that, you know what I mean? Like, if you find the sheds to that deer, doesn't matter if it's 25 or 30 inches wide, the rack is still the same. It's just, does it grow straight up or does it grow off to the side? That's really the difference. It doesn't change the amount of rack that's growing, if I'm making sense. Like, you know what I mean? But genetically, I think you're right when it comes to fitting in this thick brush and stuff. And I see it with whitetails too, where they get polkles, through the summer. I've been told, and I've seen this theory. I feel like it's fairly true, is muleys have their routes in the summer when they're growing that velvet, and they don't want that velvet damage. And so they have their routes throughout the summer. They have their feeding grounds, but you'll notice they change their habits completely after that velvet comes off, and they're not even rutting yet. And it's like, well, now they can explore more country. They can go to places where they don't feel like they're going to be damaging their velvet. And look, it's a living, like, when their velvet is on, like, there's blood, there's veins running through that. Like,
it hurts if they hurt
that, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, it hurts.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think people get wrong with mule deer when it comes to going after and pursuing those bigger age class animals, those 5-year-old mule deer bucks, and especially in this country where kind of we're at, because like you said, it's going to be so different in like Colorado or Utah or Wyoming or even like Southern Idaho versus Northern Idaho, or the prairie bucks, the muleys in eastern Montana versus western Montana, where we find them. They're hard to get. One of the arguments that I've been making, not like an argument, but one of the things I've been saying is, as a whole, mule deer are kind of on the decline throughout the West, and I would concur with that. But there are spots that hold some really good growing populations of very large mule deer. And I think that the reason is because people are not willing to trek that far from the truck. Everybody's looking for that easy, 100 yards within the road kind of thing. And that's why a lot of these 2 and 3 point muleys go down. And the reality is these higher age class animals are quite a bit like, I don't want to talk about where, but you and I think, essentially hunt the Montana side pretty much in the same neck of the woods. And the thing is those animals are achievable if you're willing to go, if you're willing to hike, if you're willing to get in there. And those animals, I feel like we saw a ton of them this year. Most of my time was spent with clients that I couldn't get that far in. And so my buddy Rob did, though. And they got a smoker buck, man. I'll text you a picture of this buck, and I'll even tell you where it's at because you probably know the area. But anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is like everybody, like there's this big interest. There's a lot of interest in a big mule deer buck, like these bucks that you're getting, right? And what are people getting wrong? Whether it's an effort thing or a strategy thing as to how to get in on bucks like that are like these 150 plus, 5-year-old plus, mature mule deer mountain bucks. I don't know if that question even makes sense, but.
Yeah. I mean, when I look at maps, I think the first thing I do is I start on Onyx maps and not just Onyx, but I use Google Earth a lot too, because it's just very detailed on the terrain. You have to I'm always put myself in the mind of a mule deer, and I'm like, okay, like if you see, I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a knob, like there's a knob and when I mean a knob, it could be a good mountain and with good mule deer habitat. But if you see that there's easy access on all sides of the mountain, like that's not where I'm going to think I'm going to find. That's not my first spot where I'm like, because I've people are like, oh, you should try hunting this spot, and I'll look at it and I'm like, well, dude, like the access is so easy on all sides of the mountain. And they're like, oh, there's still good deer up there. I'm like, good deer, sure, but I mean, can a deer on that mountain live up to being 8 years and plus? So those are the areas I honestly avoid. Good. And so for me, I'm like, I look at these areas, I'm like, dude. Like, sure, like if I hike in 4 miles, sure, there's a road system 4 miles, right? If I'm hiked in 4 miles, but if I look in all other directions, I mean, if you're going to bump into somebody else, they're going to be crazy, or they live back there. Like they live on the mountain. Like you're in absolutely middle of nowhere, in no man's land, and sure, I mean, there's always hunting pressure. I still bump into Blaze Orange Vest, but typically I hit a certain distance where I don't see a soul. And I'm always seeking, sure, I'm going to pull the trigger on a 170-inch muley when I see it. Mm-hmm. But I want the potential of is there going to be a 200-inch muley? Like, can a 200-inch muley live back here? Can a 190, 180-inch muley live back here? I want the potential.
And what makes you, when you're looking at country like that, what makes you look at that and say, okay, yes, a 200 class buck can live there? And like you were saying, easy access. So you're saying a lack of a road system to get back there. Is that what you mean by not easy access?
Yeah, just road trail systems. I mean, it could be both. I mean, trail systems, it's usually typically fine because, trails are pretty tough. You have to still be a pretty dang good hiker. And most hikers, even a really good hiker, is not going to camp back somewhere. Like you can camp for a day or two and leave, and that's not going to affect the mule deer population, right? Like, I mean, if they're a big buck could be gone for a day or two and then come back, right? So
Yeah.
that's not really a big deal. But yeah, just hard access. Predation. I look at the predation, and I mean, obviously, I wish there's one thing I wish with Montana is they would allow more cat hunting, like Idaho. I mean, Trevor, my brother Trevor, just shot a mountain lion yesterday, and in Idaho, at least on our side of the line, I can kill a mountain lion a year if I wanted to. And
Mhm.
and it's like, well, what's our population of mountain lions? Just fine. I picked up a Christmas tree 2 days ago with my kids, and big tom track right on the main road. It's like
Yeah.
I see mountain lion tracks all the time. Cat hunters are running cats all the time. And I mean, cat hunters, obviously there's a form of respect, right? Like the Idaho cat hunters, they know if they shoot every cat they tree, that they could probably easily wipe out the population. There's a lot, like, people don't think of hound hunters being ethical, but they're very ethical hunters. The majority of cat hunters don't actually shoot the cats.
Yeah.
They're the saying always goes, the hunt's over when the cat's in the tree. The hunt is getting the cat in the tree. And so
Yep.
and so people are like, well, what's the challenge of shooting a cat at a tree? Well, there's no challenge in that. It's the challenge is training a hound good enough to tree a cat.
Yep.
Well, sorry, I'm getting off topic here, but going back to Montana, I'm just like, why is it that there's just so much country and you're only allowed 5 mountain lions in this area and I'm like,
I know.
why are you hoarding your predators? Why, like, same with wolves. I'm like, you guys, you got to have a longer wolf season. Like, the season is just, it just kills me. I'm like, dude, I can't tell you how happy I would be to hunt Montana wolves. And people ask me all the time, please hunt our wolves in Montana. I'm like, dude, you guys love your wolves. I'm just kidding. Not the people. Not the people say, sorry, I'm gonna get some hate over that. But it's just like, why are I feel like these laws are protecting the wolves, and I guess the general public, especially the outdoorsmen, do not like the wolves. Even I've talked to the fishing game in Montana, and I'm like, because I want to pick their brains on the rules and stuff. I wanted to get into trapping last year. I was like, I want to trap Montana. So I called some of the regional fishing game officers, and they're all about it. They're like, yeah, by all means, trap. And I'm like, gosh, the rules are so strict. And it's like, well, how am I supposed to trap a wolf? I mean, they made it so hard to where it's like, I don't want to say it's impossible because people do it. I'm just saying, like, man, you really are putting a crutch on everybody with these laws. Like,
There are. It's those groups. It's those pro wolf groups out of Missoula and Bozeman and areas like that. Yeah, Montana did just loosen some of the rules, but it's still, I'm in agreement, man. They're not aggressive enough for the type of management that's going to be impactful. You know what I mean? I think we could do better.
Yeah. Oh, like, I mean, and obviously not like, I'm not expecting anything to get to Idaho's level, but just, I mean, have a little bit of common sense laws here. Like, checking a trap every 48 hours. I mean, you have to quit your job at that point. And people don't think, they're like, what do you mean? Like, check it once every other day? How hard is that? People don't realize what it's like to run a trap line where you have to drive far away from your home. And it's a full day ordeal. So you literally are taking half your winter checking traps.
Yep.
And trying to follow the rules. And it's like, it's so, like, for 48 hours. And then on top of that, you can't trap next to a main, what is it? Like, even those gated roads, it's like, you can't trap to a main road. And it's like, even if it's blocked off, I mean, from what I understand, I kept asking, I'm like trying to see what I can and cannot do, like trail systems. And it's like, well, I mean, the wolves run those, and it's like, I don't know how else you're going to get them if you don't trap them there. And then the baiting, like, you can't bait for traps. And I'm like, well, then how, so I'm just like,
yeah, it's weird, man. And I'm kind of staying a little bit quiet just because I don't know the nuances of the trapping rules and regulations for wolves here in Montana, because I lived in Idaho a little over 3 years ago, and I had like Idaho's big game, everything memorized essentially that was in the big game regs. And you move to a new state, and Montana's super complicated. there's they have a tendency to complicate things, and so I've been spending most of my time trying to, because as a guide, I got to know those laws and regulations. I got to know that rule book front and back, and so my focus has been on the ungulates, and I've got that down. And so now it's time to dive into the wolves, and I know that there's weird restrictions. We can bait in certain circumstances, but not for trapping and all that kind of stuff. And on private land, for hunting, right? Yeah, on private land.
On private land, okay.
Yeah. And so it's as I understand it. Let me put it that way. I haven't, I haven't really delved into it, but we're trying to. We've got actually some really good wolf hunters on the guide staff that we have. Like, if somebody wanted to come to the outfitter this winter, we've got like 3 or 4 spots still open for a really cool wolf hunt that is on private land where we could bait and even hunt at night. And so hit me up if you guys are interested in that, because we're trying to fill those spots. But I agree, Tom. I think that they convolute a lot of things. Like, we've already, just behind my place where I'm living right now, I look to the right here, and we've got 2 lions down already this season. And that is going to fill this quota pretty quick when, one of the most common things I see on mule deer when we're out in the like back country or whatever is these lion kills on muleys. And the lions wreak havoc on deer and elk, but mostly on deer. And so, I agree. I don't think like we could double the quota, and I still don't know that it would affect the lion population that much, because they're all over the place. I've got tracks less than a mile behind my house here on the road. It's crazy.
I'd like to welcome Mystery Ranch as a sponsor to the Western Huntsman. This is a great product. Specifically, we're going to talk about the Mysterium line. Those packs include the Sawtooth 45, the Sawtooth 65, the Beartooth 85, and the Marshall 105, depending on what you're doing with the pack. If you from day pack to backcountry, plenty of space. I like what they wrote on the website. Between the disciplines of calculated preparation and in-the-moment focus, an intangible alchemy exists. We call it Mysterium. It is our most ambitious, tech-rich line of Mystery Ranch hunting packs, constructed for the most methodical hunters. I'd agree with that. It's a great pack, guys. I really like the ventilation system. When you put it on, it's nice and tight, but you're still breathing a little bit less of that buildup between the pack and your back when you're sweating and out there packing through the mountains and whatnot. It's a super functional pack, very comfortable, very good at carrying loads. I've been using it all spring between bear and just like I do a lot of rucking to keep in shape, and it has done a phenomenal job. I've got a lot of top-of-the-line packs out there, and I've always kind of geeked out with packs, but I really do like the weight distribution and the way that it allows you multiple options as to where you're going to either carry a water bladder or one of those Contigo containers or whatever you're going to use. Really impressed. I love the ease of how everything functions on it, too. You don't need to watch a bunch of videos to figure out how to undo everything to pack a bunch of meat out. That's really important for a guy like me, I promise. I'm not super smart. So the simplicity, the comfort, the load distribution, it all makes for a wonderful backcountry hunting pack. If you are in the market, check it out at mysteryranch.com/mysterium.
That's it for part 1 of this episode. Click the link in the bio for part 2.